I want to talk about the Rotary Foundation. I got some notes somewhere, a script. There it is. Right. No point in that. We'll just wing it. I want to talk about it in a different way. We talk about the foundation and the dollars and the per capita and personal giving and all that sort of thing, but I thought, let's do something a little different. Let's talk about the personal aspect of the Rotary Foundation. And I'm going to turn this on. And I'll call this Yeah, Dad, Whatever. We've all been through that scenario where our kids don't really understand what we do in Rotary. They sort of think we're doing some good stuff, but they don't really know. I had an opportunity. I go to India most years. I had an opportunity to put a proposition to my grandson, 13-year-old Harry. I wanted him to see the privileges he had living in Australia. I want him to come with me to India, where we work in rural areas, and just see what happens to kids over there and just how they spread their lives. He said, yeah, Harry loves Indian food. Harry loves food, full stop. Most kids do, I guess. So we set it up. I said, I'll pay you a ticket. We'll be okay for accommodation. His mother said, okay, you look after him. He's only a little boy. He's a big boy, actually. And we're getting ready, and my son says, geez, Dad, I've got a mate in Goa. How about I come with you, and then I can spend a day or two with him afterwards? So I said, oh, all right, mate, yeah, another bloody ticket. So we set it up and we went. And what I want to talk about is the generational shift that occurred with my son. Harry was good. He got out of what I wanted him to get out of it. We started off by going to Chennai, and we had a few projects there, a little look at an ice plant on an island we built during the tsunami where they're still making ice for fishing boats. And that saved them the hassle, and that was a matching grant with the foundation, saved them the hassle of driving 20 kilometres to get ice and then 20 kilometres back to put it in their boats. And the ice was probably reduced by 25% by the time they got it in the back. They now make their own ice, and that's a good thing for their community. We started in Chennai, and then we went up to a place called Guntur. Now, what I wanted to do was dispel the myths about Indian trains. This is a reasonable sort of train. We got the guy coming through with all the food and the drinks. I was going to have some samosas, but when the people in front of me said, yeah, I'll have 6 of those, and he put his hand in and put 6 on a plate, I said, no, I'll give that a miss. No plastic gloves over there. So, but the train travel was good. It was about a 4 or 5 hour trip. And we managed that safely. No one sitting on the roof. I don't think they were at the back, so it was a pretty good sort of a scenario. We started off going out into a country area with an organisation called Assist, which is an organisation that deals with disadvantaged rural communities. The fact that it's staffed 100% by Rotarians is a big advantage because they utilise the programs of the foundation to enhance the work they're doing. This particular establishment is a school, not a school so much as not an orphanage, a hostel, I guess, where they go out and they take young children from remote villages that have no opportunity for education whatsoever. They negotiate with the parents. They bring them back into this establishment and they house them and feed them and they send them to the local schools, so that those kids are living in this hostel, getting an education, and when the holidays are on, they go back to their villages, and then they come back. This is the kitchen in that hostel. This is where all their food's prepared. It's not a very good photograph because the light wasn't all that good, but that's it when it comes to preparing the food, but they manage. This is where the girls keep their gear. This is on the front porch of their room. They have their little bag and they just stack it there, and that's their wardrobe. Not a lot of flash attached to it. These are the girls in their uniforms. The organisation provides the uniforms. They provide carers. They provide housekeepers and mentors for them, but these kids are going to school, getting an education. It's just an exceptional way of doing things. We then went back to Guntur. You mightn't have heard of Guntur, it's in Andhra Pradesh. A small village, about 1 million people. Probably the chili centre of India. Everywhere you look, there are cold storage houses full of chilies. This truck is one of the local restaurants, just getting his week's supply of chilies. They are all chilies in those bags. I can't believe it. We went through the chili market and there's women sitting on the ground grading chilies. And there's piles of chilies this high and they're just throwing them out into various grades. And God, they must have tough hands. But amazing. You talk about curries. Curries aren't hot. It's the chili they put in the curries. We went then to a village where we're replacing the housing with low-cost shelter, and that's a matching grant, one of the last matching grants done. We can't do low-cost housing with global grants now, but I'm campaigning for that to change because I think we should. I think it's important that we reach out to people in this way. I've been through all this before, so I stood back and let the boys take the flak. They throw petals over your head, they put layers around your neck, and these Stuart and Harry, they just didn't know what was going on here. A little bit embarrassed, but I was having a chuckle in the background. It was good stuff. But these people are so thankful. They always meet you at the entrance to the village with a big welcoming committee, and it's flowers and bands and whistles and trumpets all the way down to the village, and the petals are going everywhere. It's good stuff. It makes you feel good. These are the sort of houses that they're living in at the moment. This is one of the pens for the cattle, but the houses are at the back. They're all bamboo and banana trees, and this is Main Street. Just not very good conditions. Some of the houses, if you want to have a shower or a bath, this is the village communal bathroom. You just get in there, put the hessian up so you've got a little bit of privacy, and then you wash yourself and you do the necessaries. This is natural, this is normal in an Indian rural country village. This is a house, plan of the house that they're talking about. They're pretty basic. It's one room, which is the hall, which is the living, sleeping area, a kitchen and a front porch and a dunny out the back. And fortunately, they've got septic tanks organised for these houses. But this is concrete base, brick walls, concrete slab roof, monsoon proof, which is great, and cyclone proof, which is possibly great should it happen. The street plan for the village is pretty simple. Every house is going to be replaced. Every house will be given to a person that's prepared to work on it. The government, the Rotary will put in $600. The government will put in $1,700, and the owner of the house puts in the rest in terms of labour. Because if they're not prepared to work on building their own house, they don't get a house. It's as simple as that. Another example of a house that's maybe overdue for replacement, but people are living in this. Some of these places where they have a house built of twigs and branches and palm tree leaves and all the rest, they will face that, they will skim it with a mixture of cow manure and water. Now that forms a little like a plaster, and it doesn't smell, incidentally. So that gives it the waterproof aspect, and they do the floors with that to keep the dust down. But there's got to be a better way. I know it's traditional, and it's what they've been doing for thousands of years, but there's got to be a better way. This guy was the security guard for the local Member of Parliament who was there for the presentation day. Harry thought it was pretty cool being photographed with a guy with a gun. We didn't show this photo to his mother. But the guy looked serious, but he was laughing a little bit later. I think he was hamming it up a bit there. But and again, Harry thought it was good. On the way back, you get the odd roadblock. We ran into these 70 or 80 cattle that were occupying a 9-foot wide road, and the vehicle was about 8 foot, so we just had to follow along. They weren't in any hurry to get out of their way for us, I can assure you. So that was a sort of a half-hour delay. But it's interesting, you find those sort of things. Back in Guntur, there's an all-ladies club. You might find that surprising, but the Rotary Club of Guntur Ardash is an all-ladies Rotary Club. And they are wives of Rotarians who weren't allowed to participate fully in Rotary in days gone by. Each of them has taken on the responsibility of opening a school for disadvantaged children. And this is one of those schools. It has classrooms, it has living quarters because they live in. They are taken away from wherever they are and with the agreement of the parents, and given an education, given a place to live, giving good meals, and given an opportunity to go forward in their lives. This is New Year's Day. This cake is something they would never ever see. And that's why most of the eyes are very well and truly fixed on the cake. They're all pretty serious about this cake, but they're well trained. They wouldn't move until be told to move. These are the girls coming up for their bits of cake. I think most of them are staring avidly at the cake, but that one girl on the left, I think she's looking at that other girl saying, "How come you got a big bit like that?" I don't know. But they were sitting there. The cake was cut up. This is incredible. Cake was cut up, and they're sitting there as you saw them, and would not move until told, "Come on, get your cake." And then they all come up. Very well behaved, very well trained. But these ladies, to set up these schools, they will do their research and find a businessman that's got a building that's not being used, and they get stuck right into him. "How dare you don't use that building? We could use that for educating these children." You know, on and on and on and on, and nothing like an Indian woman with a mission, I can tell you. And they finally convince the guy, "Yes, you can have the building, you can use the building." And they get it ready, and they get sponsorship from other builders and electricians, and they get it ready. And once the school is ready, the government's forced to put teachers in. That's the way it works. If the community provides the school, the government will provide the teaching staff. So they get the teachers coming in. And they go to the houses of these people, of these children, to verify that they are worthy recipients of this scholarship or of this facility, because some of them give fake addresses and fake IDs just to get in there. But they go, they investigate at their homes, they do research with their neighbours, and they make sure that these kids are the most deserving kids and the most in need. And it's good to see. This looks like a bit of a slum, but it's really the banana market in Guntur. You wouldn't believe the number of bananas in this place. So bananas are good. I like bananas because when I go to India, I work on the basis if you can peel it, you can eat it. So that's a good... Bananas are very popular with me, I can assure you. Bananas and oranges, they're great. That's the way, and most of my diet when I go. I'm not a big on Indian food. But Stuart was trying to figure out some way in which he can make money out of this. But I convinced him that, no, I think the bananas might be a bit off by the time you get them back, because they're very cheap over there. But a lot of people want them. There's a lot of bananas everywhere. All that rubbish on the ground, of course, is the byproduct of the bananas when they clean them up, getting ready for sale. But yeah, it's good stuff. We had a little walk back towards where we were living, and the guy took us through what he called the poor part of town. And these little houses are just slums, I guess. But they're shelter, and they're opportunities for people to live in a little bit of comfort, but they're small and they're pretty ramshackle. This woman in one of those houses was making those leis that they put around you. Flowers are big over there. She never stopped. The fingers were just going all the time, threading these flowers into leis, and it's just amazing. She's probably been doing that for 40 years. And getting $1 a day or whatever the price is. Just amazing stuff. But it's income that comes into the house. $1 a day can buy all the food you want for these people. And we had a party on New Year's Eve. The club, the Guntur club, had a New Year's Eve party. Old heads are a little bit wiser. So my son thought he could dance and wanted to try it out. So he got up there and did his bit. But I just stayed down and took pictures. And I keep sending him one a day. We then went out to a village called Jinkapalam, which is a village on an island in the delta of the Krishna River, down by the coast, very seriously affected by the tsunami, and that's where I started my association with this district, 3150. I'm a zero person too. This is just a town. We stopped for a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. We went into a cafe and they immediately pour 6 cups of this sickly, milky, sugary tea. They pour. There's no option. You just get it all. I said, "You got something without?" Because I'm black tea, black coffee guy. "Oh, no, the tea. Any coffee?" "Oh, yeah, but we don't have any milk." I said, "Ripper." I said, give me a coffee. So, but yeah, towns like this are social centres, they're shopping centres, they're everything. They get along there. We went across, there's a car ferry that takes you across to the island on the Krishna River. Harry wasn't too sure about the whole thing. He thought it looked a bit dodgy, and I don't know, I find it quite normal now when they roll the car on that they put this steel plate over a hole on the floor, and then you move past that and they move the plate and then you put the back wheels over, so it's all pretty straightforward, really. It's normal. They're going to be replace that ferry for the last 20 years, but never got around to it. This is leaving the mainland going onto the island. It's only about a kilometre across, I guess. That's the river. More flowers when we got there and more petals and all that sort of thing. So again, I'm hanging back, just taking photos, letting the boys, they're getting used to it. This is what we first came across when I first went to this place. These were the rice paddies that were just decimated by the tsunami. It just swept it all away. It just totally destroyed their livelihood and their opportunity. What we wanted to do was to rebuild the rice fields. We wanted to desalinate them because it was all the salt water in them, fertilise them, rebuild the banks or the bunds and get them back into rice production. What was the real problem was water. They're at the end of the line as far as town water is concerned, and it always seemed to run out before it got to this village, so they never really got back into rice production, not in any great matter. So we came up with an idea of going back years and years the way they've done it in the past. They harvest the monsoon water. Now that river, which runs alongside these fields, runs fresh water out to the sea about 3 or 4 kilometres during monsoon time. So we provided them, each of the farmers agreed to take 10% of his field and turn it into a dam, a little pond, and we provide them with pumps to pump the water out of the river when it's sweet, when it's fresh, into the dams, which gives them the opportunity to water their rice or give water for their rice. We wanted to turn the tsunami destroyed areas back into good productive rice fields. And these are the dams we've built. These sort of things. This is a big one, so it's a big field. And this is at the getting close to the start. Yeah, they've done a crop, so they've used some of the water. This is the first harvest they've had since the tsunami, which was absolutely great. That's yet to be gathered and threshed. Once that's gathered, they'll let the stock in there to eat the stubble, and then they'll get ready for the next crop. Very poor people, but they provided us a lunch. They went to a great deal of trouble to provide us a lunch. Harry and Stuart both tucked in, but I had a lot of bananas that day, which is good. If you don't know what you're eating, don't eat it, I reckon. But it's very kind people. This kid was the epitome of what the village felt about what we'd done for them. And these are all matching grants through the foundation, the dams, the pumps, the canals. It's all part of what we do as a foundation. It's all because Rotarians and clubs have given to make these things possible. But this kid was happy and the whole village was happy. Back in Guntur, we did a little shopping, normal downtown traffic, pretty busy, probably quicker to walk than to be in a vehicle, but it's a little bit cooler to be in a vehicle because we're starting to warm up a bit, but it's nice stuff. We then took a train to Hyderabad, and this is the Guntur railway station. I don't think the British built this one. It looks a bit too Indian to me. It looks pretty nice. It It was quite warm, but we had the privilege of the VIP waiting room, which was nice too, rather than standing on the station with 3,000 people in 35-degree heat. So we just sat and waited while in air-conditioned comfort. Shouldn't happen. This is Hyderabad. And I want to talk about an organisation. This organisation's run by a lady, Sunita Mehta, whose quest in life is to take children out of brothels. She's got a being bonnet about it not being right, and I got to sort of agree with her. When you've got 10 and 12-year-old girls being forced into prostitution, what happens is they go to the country areas. Some dude will convince the family that he wants to marry the girl. He'll pay the family, bring her back. So you wait here, I'll go and fix up our accommodation. And of course, that's the last time she ever sees him. And where he's left her is in a brothel. So her mission is to close down as many brothels as she can where young children are being forced into prostitution. She has, this is where this is her office in Hyderabad. I said that it looks a bit dangerous. Do you have any problems? She says, not now, because the mafia owns this building, the Indian mafia owns this building, and they know better than to mess around with any of the mafia's tenants. So I'm protected in that way. The process she employs, she started off working with the police, but the police were tipping off the brothel owners, and when they got there were no young girls. So she started to do it alone, and she'd get the girls, and she'd be thrown downstairs. She'd have a jaw broken, a shoulder dislocated, legs broken, arms broken. She had a horrible time. She had 2 weeks in hospital after one attack. And I said, what did you think about lying there, whether to give it up or that? She said, no, I just lied here thinking how nice it is to have 2 weeks rest. And she's battered and bruised, and she says she doesn't expect to be alive in 4 or 5 years' time, but she won't stop. She takes these children. The next morning, there are lawyers on her doorstep with writs for kidnapping. She said, I don't mind that. Well, it's a nuisance because that means the case has got to go to court, and I've got to waste my time going to court and preparing for court when I could be out there raising funds and helping more girls. Usually the girls will testify, and the case is thrown out of court, so she does all right there. But she has a great deal of trouble convincing government that she's doing the right thing. One particular brothel she closed down was owned by the son of a member of parliament, and the mother got quite shirty that she'd taken her son's livelihood away from her. And so I can't understand some of the attitudes, but she does vocational training. She keeps these girls out 80 kilometres out of Hyderabad and brings them in every day for vocational training. And Prajwala is the name of the organisation. This is their vocational training centre. That's her. She's only little, but that's her standing in the middle. They train the girls in printing, bookbinding, computing, welding, a whole range of cabinet making, security guards, silkscreen printing. Anything the girls can turn their hands to, they'll give it a go. And they find them jobs once they've got qualifications. And they put them out into the workforce to give them a chance at a normal life, which they wouldn't have had if they'd stayed in the brothels. This is Sunita, and she's standing on the same level as all of us. She is a little woman, but a big heart and a big will. And she will not stop. She's just made a documentary. Her husband is a filmmaker. They've just made a documentary about what's going on here, and let's hope it gets a bit of circulation and a bit of attention, because she's not getting much help now. She's starting to get pressure from the owner of the building of the vocational centre to move out, because she's bringing disrepute to the neighbourhood. Yeah, go figure that one. And then a little bit of shopping, which Stuart always seemed to stand out in the crowd. It's amazing the number of kids that come up and said, can you take my photo with you? So I don't know if he looked like an Indian rock star or something, but he must have had 50 or 60 requests for photographs. And then you wouldn't believe it. He got a message from a mate in Sydney that the best takeaway shop in Hyderabad, in the world, is in Hyderabad, and you should go there. So we told our host, and he got the car out, and the driver took us down, and we bought some biryani, and that's the proprietor of the restaurant, just for the record. So, I don't know. Another downtown Hyderabad orderly traffic process. It's just amazing when you see all these little taxis, these little three-wheelers. That's a very popular way of travelling. But this is up from a mosque. We're up checking a mosque in the middle of town, and I thought, I can't resist taking the picture of that one. And then we went to this guy, Gowrie, Dayan Gowrie. He's a man of enormous heart. He's built an orphanage to take about 30-odd girls, and he gets the girls from this age up to that age, so there's always a process of mentorship. And he educates them, he sends them out for education, but he houses them, clothes them, teaches them the values of life. There's a mosque there, or a temple there, so they can pray. There are cattle there, they can learn about animal husbandry. But he just does that because that's what he should do. And he's built houses for people that don't have houses. He built a row of houses. I went there and saw the kids, and he made the council put the land in the residents' names so they couldn't kick them out, and then he built the houses. An enormously generous man. He's got a heart as big as gold. And these girls have all got a career mapped out for them, thanks to him and his generosity and his heart. There's two are currently in university studying to be doctors, and as they prove they have the ability, they will go forward into university environment. If they don't have that willingness, he'll find them jobs in a suitable place in town. This is just inside his compound. It's a walled compound because he says as these girls get over, the local boys will start to get a little bit edgy. So we've got to keep the gates locked, and we've got to keep the walls high, and a bit of security on it, but this is inside his facility. These are some of the rooms. This is the bedrooms, the bunk rooms for the girls. This is the dormitories where they live. It's a nice airy facility, brand new. This is the inside of their room. 4-door room. This is Gowrie's office building. So he's got 3 or 4 companies, but he's structured one of his companies in such a way that the earnings from the company will always pay for the upkeep and maintenance of that facility where those girls study. So it'll be an ongoing program after his death. He wants that to happen, and that's the man himself with Stuart and Harry. So they got on well and they enjoyed the time. I leave that there, and I just talk a little bit about what the Rotary Foundation is and what it does. And it does all these things because of the generosity of Rotarians and clubs around Australia and the Philippines and New Zealand, around the world for that matter, because the foundation is something that operates purely on money. The more money it gets in, the more good it can do. When the money runs out, the work stops. It's a simple equation. It's just like a business, I guess. So we've got to try and increase the level of giving so that the level of good we're doing can increase. It's a relative equation. So I'd like you to think about that. Think about the level of support, and I'm not going to talk about the numbers, but level of support that you can give to the Rotary Foundation so that your organisation, your charity, can go on and do even more in the world, because I don't see any evidence of those needs diminishing. There's lots of ways it can be done. You can give personally through every Rotarian every year. That's $10 a year if you want, but get in the habit of giving something every year. Or you could be a Centurion for 100, or a Paul Harris Society for 1,000 US, or a major donor, or an Arch Clump Society member. $250,000 a year, not a year, $250,000. We have 9 of those people in Australia that have given in excess of 250,000. So if any of you guys got a lazy 250,000 hanging around, you come and see me a little later and we'll work out a deal. And then you could think about giving after you've gone, like a bequest. I've done that because I don't have a lot of money, but I think my kids can miss a little bit when I'm gone. I mean, anyone in Sydney that's got a house has got an estate worth $1 million these days. So if I can give 25 or 50,000 to the foundation, I think my kids can live on the other 950,000. They won't struggle too much. I've talked to them about it and they agree. So it's all about understanding what we do and how we do it and how important you are in that equation. And I put this slide up because I took this in Chennai when we were looking for a location for the ice plant that we built. And these 3 kids came up to me and one of them offered a flower and I took the picture. And I keep it because it reminds me that everything we do for our children because they're going to inherit our world. We might not leave them much, but it's their world and our responsibility is to train them and care for them and nurture them so that they're in a good shape to handle that legacy we leave them. We've got to educate them, we've got to keep them in good health, we've got to feed them, we've got to give them vocational skills. And they're all the things we do. Look at the list. They're all the things we do. Why do we knock ourselves out like this? Why do we go day in, day out, helping people we've never ever met in some cases and never will meet? We do it because we're Rotarians. And I don't think anyone in this room would ever want it any other way. I thank you.